What's up, everybody? We are back with another episode of Champagne with Champagne. Grab a glass, drink responsibly, and enjoy the way. I'm back here in Dayton, Ohio to delve into the mind, the life, and the legacy of an amazing man. Captain of the 1967 number 2 rated team in the country, Louisville Cardinals. Played alongside legends such as Wes Unseld, Butch Beard, and Wade Houston. Averaging 31-6 as a freshman. The first black guard to ever play at the University of Louisville, and the 4th black player to play there in general. I introduce to some, and I present to many, my grandfather, Dave Gilbert.
How you doing, Mike?
How you doing?
To you.
Yes, sir, to you. This is crazy. I'm actually taking did you drink it? Did you drink it? That's funny. No, I love that. I love that. This is amazing. I'm having a glass of champagne with my grandfather. This is really important to me to be able to give you your flowers, be able to just celebrate you, the person that you are. In preparing for this, you're so interesting, so it's kind of hard to even pick a specific place where to start. But I would say, could you take me back to 1963? August 1963. We talk about everything that you've accomplished while you were at Louisville and everything that you were able to do, but I kind of want to start from the beginning and what got you to that point.
In June 4th, 1963, I graduated high school. At that point, I was the number 1 basketball player in the city of Dayton, player of the year. Had over 50 scholarship offers to various schools. I had intended on going to signing with the University of Dayton, but they didn't call me when they said they were going to call me. So I ended up going to the University of Louisville.
Was recruiting different than it is like? Well, I'm sure that it was a lot different, but in the '60s, what did recruiting look like when?
Well, usually they had certain recruiters, and they would come and see your game. They would send somebody to see your game, and then occasionally a head coach would come to see you. I did that with Blackburn, who was the coach at Dayton at that time. He came to actually see me play. And then I went and spent several days on campus at UD with a fellow named Henry Borlone, who was a high school All-American in Dayton the year before me. And I spent a lot of time with him out on campus, and so he kind of like got me interested in going to Dayton. But they were supposed to call me on Good Friday of my senior year. They didn't. And I went to a banquet the following week, and they were introducing all of the athletes who had made their decisions where they were going. And when they introduced me, they said, this is Dave Gilbert, all-city basketball player, player of the year. But if he don't make a decision soon, he won't be going anyplace. So that evening I went home and I told my father, since I'd been to like 5 or 6 schools and visited, and they'd all given you letters of intent. And I had gotten the letter from the University of Louisville, and I had put it in my trophy case. And so I told my father I would make a decision. So the next morning I got up, and he said, have you made a decision? I said, no, I really haven't. I've thought about it. So I went to the trophy case, I pulled out the letters, and I pulled out one and I signed it. And I gave it to my father, and I said, where am I going? He
Just
said,
like
you're
that?
going to the University of Louisville. That's how I made the selection.
Really?
Really.
So so you really had no interest in going to Louisville or anything
No.
that?
See, I'd gone down to Louisville, and I visited for one day. I flew down, first time I ever flew. They flew me into Louisville. The coach, the freshman coach at that time, who was like the real recruiter, was named John Dromo. And I flew into Louisville. He and a fellow named Eddie Whitehead, who was from Lincoln Heights, Ohio, met me at the airport. And I met them, and they took me back to, I thought we were going back to campus. But not far from the airport is Freedom Hall. So they took me around. I, of course, didn't have any idea where I was. And we went through the back of Freedom Hall. And we went in. Now, let me preface that by saying I had played at the Coliseum high school ball here in Dayton. It seats like 4,000 people.
Okay.
And most of the times, in most of the games, there may have been 400.
Right. So now you walking into a arena for real.
So I'm walking in the back of Freedom Hall, but I don't know because nobody said. And when we walk through the back door, and we walk on out, and I'm just walking and looking, and I see doors, and then I'm walking in darkness, and all of a sudden, the light popped, and the lights show right down on the court, and the basketball court was spotlighted as I'm walking in, and then they start popping lights all around Freedom Hall.
As I hear this story,
which
it
was
don't
the
sound too
largest,
random.
which was the largest arena, basketball arena in the country. And when I looked and saw, this is where I'm going to play. And so it just so happened that I kind of had Louisville's
A letter that was
on
in there.
top.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's what I was saying. It sounds real like, like that
Yeah.
was somewhere that you were interested in.
Yeah, and so anyway, they picked me up at the airport. We went to Freedom Hall. They then they take me out on campus. There's something going on, and there's a part of that. It's called a quadrangle, and it looked like 4,000 or 5,000 students were there, were doing something. And I'm 17, and I had heard about bluegrass of Kentucky. And I'm actually looking for bluegrass. Grass same color it was when I left Ohio. So we go and we're riding. Coach Dromo, Eddie, who became my later teammate and roommate, Eddie Whitehead, and we're going to around the quadrangle. And Coach Dromo says to Eddie, there's Fuzi. Of course, I know who that. And they stopped and they called him, and he came over. Now, Fuzi was a 6'3", 315-pound defensive tackle who ended up playing in the NFL with several teams, and we'll talk about him. He said to me, he leaned through the back window, and they told him who I was, and I was a basketball player being recruited and so forth. And he stuck his head right in the back seat, and he said, listen, my name is Charlie Johnson, but my friends call me Fuzi. And he stuck his hand, and he said, you come down here, you will never have anything to worry about. I'll take care of you. He became my big brother. I talked to him last week.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's crazy. So do you think that with all that happening in that one moment, that was just a visit that you went down and you visited? It being the 60s at that time, I think it was a pivotal time, I think, in the country, just in terms of the civil rights movement. Mm-hmm. What was it like? Because you said you were 17. So what was it like being someone who had to come from, I would say, the Midwest, going somewhere where you thought that there was actual bluegrass in Kentucky? So to be someone traveling down south, what did that?
Again, I was 17 when I graduated. I graduated June 4th, Wednesday. I then started a summer job working for the YMCA. The University of Louisville had promised me that they could get me a job in Dayton for the summer so I could have some money, buy some clothes and all that. They couldn't. So I started working. That Wednesday, I got home and I got a call from a fellow here named Morgan, Jim Morgan. Jim Morgan was a coach who actually sent my tapes to Louisville.
Okay.
But his brother was one of the recruiters from there. He called me and said, I got some good news and bad for you. I heard from Coach Dromo, and what do you want first, good or bad. Don't matter, I got to deal with both of them. So he said, the good news is we found you a job in Louisville. The bad news is that you got to be there Monday morning. This was Wednesday night. So I have to tell my family, my girlfriend, that now my wife, after 57 years, I had to tell everybody that I was leaving. So, and I had to tell why. And so, the next day, I forgot his name. Civil rights leader got shot and killed in Mississippi.
Medgar Evers.
Medgar Evers was shot and killed in Mississippi. The next day, Jimmy Hood integrated the University of Alabama. In May and April of my senior year, they had the Birmingham crisis, where they were sicking dogs and hoses on students down in Birmingham. The day I left to go to Louisville, I went to the bus station with my mother. That Sunday morning that I left, of course, I didn't know anybody there in Louisville except John Dromo, because everybody else that I'd met on the trip were all home for the summer. So I went down to my mother took me to the bus station. That morning I got up, my father, I walked into from my room, he was standing in front of the fireplace. He looked like he'd had tears in his eyes. And as I'm standing there, I walk in and he said, I don't have much to give you. I know nothing about college. You're the first in the family to ever go. But I'm going to give you this. And he gave me a little white Bible. He said, this is the Bible that your mother had when we got married. I don't know. You can't call me and ask me for a lot of answers. But if you're ever in trouble, the answer to your problem at the time is in this book. Just open it, and whatever you read, read it. It'll help you out of the situation that you're in. I said, okay, so of course, I took the Bible and didn't open it for the 2 years.
Absolutely. Hey, I feel like you gave me a Bible when I went to college. I didn't open it either.
So, back to when I got to Louisville, I took a bus, and I'm crying because my mother, first of all, I'm 17, first time I ever left home, ain't going to be away from school, from my girlfriend, my brothers and sisters. And I get on the bus, and of course, the bus is full, but there's only 2 blacks people on the bus. And I had gotten on first, and then this lady got on and sat next to me. I had on sunglasses, as most young black people we wore sunglasses all the time. Inside, nighttime, didn't matter, we had them.
What was your hair like on this bus?
My hair?
Yeah, what type?
Back then we all wore our hair close and with the waves, and
okay.
Right, and I being from Dayton, we always had hats, so I always wore hats.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. Fried, dyed, and kicked to the side and killed
it.
And so I was crying, and I was of course trying to hide it. But I guess as the bus pulled out from the bus station, I saw my mother, and she was waving. I thought she was going to cry, but she never did. My mother never broke. My daddy, my mother never broke until I left. I heard later she did. And she was my little brother. She was there, and he wanted to, of course, go. And we went down 75 towards Cincinnati, headed to Louisville, and the bus stopped in Cincinnati, at the bus station, And then we were there for half hour, 40 minutes. We get back on the bus, and it comes out of the bus station up onto I-75 across the bridge in Cincinnati. And when you get to the bridge in Cincinnati, there's a sign that says I-75 South. And it was at that moment that I saw that sign that I realized I was headed to the South. I was definitely petrified of the South. Being from the North, having never been across to the other side of the Ohio River. And now I'm panicked because of all of the things that's happening in the country. And the only person I know in Louisville who's going to meet me at the bus station is a white man named John Dromo. If he's not at the bus station, I have no idea what to do.
Yeah, what's going to happen? I
have $30 in my pocket. It costs $7.25 to get to Louisville, $6.25 the bus ticket, which my mother always told me, make sure you always have $6.25 so you can always make it back home, which I did. I never got below $6.25. So when I saw that sign that said Louisville South, all of the things that I had imagined and heard about the South, and the lady who was next to me, I come to find out she was 22 years old, I was 17, but she seemed more like a lady. And she had also commented on me crying earlier and asked me if I was okay. And then we started a conversation, and I asked her, she asked me where I was going, and I said to Louisville. I said, oh, you'll be all right. You'll be all right. And I said, where are you going? She said, to Birmingham. Birmingham?
Yeah.
Alabama? My grandmother's from Alabama. I'd heard stories about Alabama all my life. If you made it out of the South, why would you go back? She said, that's my home. That's where my people are from.
And you can't imagine
I
that.
Can't imagine that. All I can imagine is getting out. It's like prison.
Yeah.
Get out, don't go back. And so we, of course, got to Louisville. John Dromo took me to campus and got me a room and all of that. And Louisville at that time was a school I had heard was like 16,000 students. I thought it was like 6,000 lived on campus and all that in the dormitories. But it was summer school. And there were only 3 blacks. When I got there.
On the campus?
Yes. One was a basketball player named Sam Smith, who I'd met on my trip. And there was another young fellow who was a football player who was named John Bryant. John and I only knew each other for 2 weeks. To this day, he was like my older brother, like my brother. We bonded so tightly in those 2 weeks because of the circumstances that we were in, but he didn't get accepted into school. And I had, of course, gotten a job and was working, and he and I were like rooming together that summer voluntarily because he had a room down the hall, but we just kind of stayed together. And when I got back to the first week I worked, me and him was doing everything together. And the following week, on a Wednesday, I came home, and when I opened the door to the room, something felt different. I don't know what, it just felt different. And I walked in and I sat down and at my desk, and there was a note that he had written. And he said, hey, bro, I didn't get in. So I gotta leave you. But I'll be back. And we'll never seen him again. Never saw him again.
So now you're down to just 2 black people on campus in general, and you're both athletes.
Right. Now, the Sunday I went there with Coach Dromo, I met a white fella who asked the coach, you want me to take care of him? And I'll show him around. And he said, yeah. So I had a week before I started my job. And so the first couple of days, me and the fellow went around. I don't want to use his name because I don't know where he is or anybody hears this, but everything was cool for the first couple of days. And then about the third day, we were walking across campus and ran into another white fella, and he knew him. He was a football player. He was going to be a sophomore football player, and he said to me, to him, he said, "This is Dave Gilbert. He's going to be the star basketball player here. Dave, this is so-and-so." And he said, "So-and-so, this is Dave, but you don't have to worry about Dave because he's a good nigga." Now,
Okay.
we're in the South, but I come from the North. Never been South.
Well, but yeah.
And now I'm going to say it like I said it back then. And if a white man calls you a nigger, he must wear an ass whooping.
It's a fact.
So I punched him in his face. Not once, not twice. And when he said it, he was smiling. And that seemed odd to me, to call me a nigger with a smile on your face. And then he said to me, "Why you do that?" You don't know?
But you're
Oh
also
man,
looking
I didn't
like-
mean nothing by it. And so that ended right then and there. I walked away. So now I'm down there. There's only one other black person on campus. When John left, he had moved, came over and stayed a few days. And I didn't see him till like late that night, and so we didn't really talk about it. He did ask me what happened, I told him. And 2 days later, because I was working, and he came in on a Saturday, I was off, and I was laying on my bed, and I heard the key in the door. And the door opened, and I saw him. 6'7", 225 pounds. And with him are 4 white fellas. And I heard him say, "There he is. That's him. He the one that hit him." And I look and I see them. Well, this might be what I have to go out doing.
Would you wrap that up, like that experience up, by saying that was everything that you thought going to the South? Was that the first time you felt like it was?
It was all coming. It was all coming to fruition. What I had felt, what I thought, and then how I was going to respond. And it ended up that Sam and I disagreed over the way I handled it. So we ended up in a sparring contest. He was much bigger but much slower. So it didn't go well for him.
Was he a fellow athlete at the school as well?
He's a basketball player.
And this is before before regular students had come back.
Yes.
And you are still 17 at this time.
Right.
So by the time school comes in and you're actually playing basketball, could you see a shift in the energy of the students?
No. Absolutely no. That summer was the summer of the March on Washington, where Martin Luther King did the "I Have a Dream" speech. School started. That was on August 28th, 1963, the March on Washington. I had to be back in school. I worked there all summer. I went home for 2 weeks, so I left the week to go back home at the end of the summer, right after the March on Washington, and I was home for 2 weeks before I went back to start my freshman year. And that's when they had the bombing of the church in Birmingham that killed the little girls who were in church. So now, not only am I sad, but I'm petrified. And I go back to school that Sunday, and all the brothers on campus. Now, it's only 16,000 students. There are, I think, 13 blacks on campus. And all of us were athletes. And there were 2 girls. They were in graduate school. So they didn't even live even near us. They were much older and all of that. And so the night I came in, Eddie was from Cincinnati, but his family was originally from Mississippi. He was born in Mississippi. I was the only one on campus that was truly a northern black, with the entire experience of being reared in the North. And so when I came in, I didn't get the kind of reception that I thought I was going to get. And that night, Alan Bridgeforth, who was from Indianapolis, football player, he and I bonded that night. He came and helped me move all my stuff in, and then eventually the fellas came around because I'd met a lot of them, and then they spoke, but everybody left. And it was just me and Alan. And then the school, we bonded over the fact that we both had girlfriends that had come to school with. My girlfriend and I had been together for 4 years when I got to Louisville, right? I've been married to her now for 57 years. We've been together since I was 14 and she was 13, your grandma. And so when the fellas had heard from an opinion of me being from the North, and because I found out later, this fellow named Clarence Spencer said, "Dave, you all right?" And I said, "Why would you say that?" He said, "Man, we had heard you were from the North. You thought you was cute. You thought you was better than the rest of us and all that kind of stuff." And he told me where it came from and who had said that. And he told me they thought you was cute and better than all of us.
Had y'all started playing yet?
Not yet, not yet. We hadn't even started school yet. And I said, he was right about one thing. I do think I'm cute. I do think I'm cute. And
Fruit
so,
don't fall far.
right. And so school started, and the Friday the school started on a Wednesday. That Friday, the coach called all the basketball players. 5 of us came in on scholarship, me and 4 other white players. The year before, they had integrated the program at Louisville. Wade Houston was the first, Sam Smith signed second, and Eddie signed third. They were sophomores when I got there. Eddie was my roommate. And so they called a freshman ball player to the gym the day that we started school. And it was the first meeting. Now, I had met a couple of them, but I hadn't met all of them. And we walked in, and when I got there was another black fella in the meeting. His name was Gene Madison from Tennessee. He was a walk-on. He was Wade's cousin. Now, I had met Gene, but I didn't know he was going to walk on. And we're sitting on the bench, and they're giving us our schedules and all those kinds of things. And Coach Dromo said, "All right, fellas, this is Dave Gilbert. He's going to be our captain this year." I knew nothing about it. Never meant. He's going to be our captain this year. Any of you have a problem with it? I said, "Oh, God. Whoa. I'm going to have to fight before I get out of this gym. And I'm going to have to fight the rest of the school semester." But nobody seemed to have a problem with it. And there was one fellow named Bill Winchy, Chicago, 6'7", 225. And Bill was unusual because he came over and, "Hey, Dave, why would he mask that?" What? I know, you don't know? And he said, I don't understand. Why would coach even ask some stuff like, ain't nobody got a problem with you being the coach? Now, some of the Southern players did, but Bill didn't.
And this is a time when freshmen weren't allowed to play varsity at all.
Absolutely. Well, the whole basketball program was different. You know, we could dunk, but as soon as I got out of school, they stopped the dunking and all of that in terms of the game.
Then y'all went on to be, y'all went 17-2?
My freshman year, we ended up being 17-2. Now, it was a basketball player named Clem Haskins. Clem played at Western Kentucky. He was supposed to be my roommate. Clem, that summer, decided to switch schools and go to, he ended up going to, he had signed at Louisville and he ended up going to Western Kentucky. And so Gene came, and when it worked out, my freshman year at Louisville ended up being my best year I experienced as a basketball player in terms of the camaraderie, because I had another white guard. His name was Johnny Paddock. And Johnny, you've been an athlete, and you know, Johnny set me up. I was a shooter. We didn't 3-point, but I had a range. I had a range. And Johnny set me up. He always made sure I got the ball.
You got it where you wanted it.
As a result of that, I mean, I hit, first game I played, I got 29. The second game, I got 28. The next 3 games, I got 39 in each of the games.
Hey, man.
And most of it was because of Johnny. Johnny, he made sure I got the ball in a position that I could shoot. And so I developed a camaraderie with my teammates there. And after Clem left and went to Western, all of the varsity players, not all, many of them thought our freshman team was not going to be that good. But I was there. And there was no guard, in my opinion. This is going out across the air someplace. That,
right, since it's going to be everywhere, I want y'all to know what he's saying right now.
Yeah, so
this is 1963, right?
This is 1963.
There was not a guard that could have held you in a phone booth.
Because I could jump. One of the things I had the ability to do was jump. And I was a better jumper than any guard they had at Louisville. And I was quicker, and on top of that, I had range. And so we started the season. And our first game, we played Georgetown. I wasn't hitting the first half. We went into the halftime down by 12. No, we were down by 16 at halftime. And Jerome walked in, coach, and said, listen, get a drink of water and get back on the court. And after the varsity game, because the varsity played out, we played before all varsity games, come back in here, put them wet uniforms on, because we're going to be here to 3 o'clock in the morning if you lose. I got 22 the second half.
Yeah.
And we beat them.
About right.
And so, but the varsity used to laugh and stuff like that, and they kept telling us. And then we went to Eastern Kentucky. I dropped 29. We beat their freshmen, and our varsity got beat. So we had to ride back on the bus. And we were in control now. You ain't gonna laugh at us. Y'all lost, we won. And then we went all the way through the season, and we lost to Vanderbilt's freshmen. And then when we got to Vanderbilt's freshmen, and we got to the last game of the season, and we played Bellarmine, who was a crosstown school with Louisville. And Bellarmine had never had a team to beat a Louisville team in anything. But the semester had come, and there were several players. We had a couple scholarship players who left at the end of the semester, and we went to the new semester. They left, and then we had other players who just didn't get the grades.
Yeah.
And we ended up with only 6 players for like the last 3 games of the season.
And this is the freshman team playing. So
Right.
And that was just the rule. If you were a freshman, you just had to play freshman.
You're right. You couldn't play varsity.
So when your next year, did you start automatically?
No.
Like just off top?
No, another experience. Because I set the scoring record, most points scored by anybody who's ever been at Louisville as a freshman. And there were a lot of people expecting me, including me. And the first article that my name was mentioned in my sophomore year, the head coach at Louisville said I didn't have enough basketball savvy to be a starter. My mind, I didn't kill all the varsity. I didn't kill them. You know, I was equal with all of them and exceeded most. So I didn't think I was going to have a problem playing. And in essence, the way I interpret what he said was I didn't have enough smarts, which was one of the stereotypes for black players. Back then, the world thought athletes were dumb, and the dumbest of the dumb were the black athletes. And I had to fight a lot of that. My entire 4 years at Louisville. But there was a lot of positive things, because one of the things that happen in experiences like that, you have to grow up. You have to learn how to survive on your own. And the blacks, all the blacks, not just the basketball players, but the football players there, we all united. You saw one of us, you saw all of us. And in February of that year, they had to march on Frankfurt. They had to march on Washington, and they marched on the capital of Frankfurt in February. And it was the week before, it was a couple of days before our last game as a freshman. And so we went to Frankfort, Kentucky. Because this time I had become highly militant. And there in Frankfurt, standing on the steps of the Capitol, I watched 22,000 black people march on the Capitol as I'm standing there. And I saw Jesse Jackson, Andy Young, Ralph David Abernathy, and Martin Luther King. And they stood there. One of the ways I made it through the summer is that Martin Luther King published an album called The Great March to Freedom. And if you remember seeing Dreamgirls, it was Effie White, yeah. She's talking to Jamie Foxx's character, and he says, "You promised me a hit, and now he got a hit, and he can't even sing." And she threw an album down on, and it was The Great March to Freedom, which was a King's speech at C.L. Franklin's church, Aretha's daddy, in Detroit. I had come home for July, the summer of my freshman year. When I was down there, the first time my father had that, and I took it back to Louisville. He let me have it, and I took it back. That tape I listened to all night long, every night, all summer, to the point that I memorized every word of that. And now I'm starting to develop strength. I got reasons, and I'm become militant. I'd already experienced the girls getting shot and killed. Then I'd gone through the whole thing with the March on Washington and all of that. And then that summer of '64 is when they had the civil rights workers that were killed in Mississippi. That summer they did the training for that at Ohio University. And I wanted to go. I wanted to go. But I knew my mother would never allow any of her kids, especially my brother and I, to ever go any place. My grandmother's from the South. She always wanted to take us back to meet her people, especially when somebody died. My mama, who was from Illinois, never allowed us to go back. She's like a banty rooster. You'll never send my sons down there to be killed. Now I find myself in Louisville, Kentucky, with all of this around me. And the reason I didn't actually go, part of the reason, because the real reason I was scared, but I didn't go to the training at OU was because my mother, I couldn't do that to her. And that summer is when the 3 civil rights workers was killed.
And you didn't go.
And I didn't go. I didn't go.
That's a lot to take in as someone being, I mean, a college student, just in general, navigating all those different type of things. I think you face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, just living now, but then having to go through the specific racism or specific blocks that were put in place, just being someone who just wanted to go to school and play basketball.
Right.
But I kind of want to fast forward a little bit to 1967.
1967, okay.
Louisville is the #2 rated team in the country.